What professions you wouldn't date? Why? Write in the comments what you think about it. What professions you wouldn't date? Why? Enjoy the show. Story 1. God, so many. Lawyers, anyone in healthcare, anyone who travels for work, anyone in sex work, anyone who's a public figure or politician, anyone in the restaurant or bartending industries, anyone in the military, anyone who's a firefighter or a cop or therapists, just off the top of my head. Story 2. A cop. #1 job consisting of violent abuse towards spouses, at least in America. Once had a cop ask for my number while I was working. Politely declined because I had a BF. He wasn't having that. Basically forced my number out of me through coercion so he would leave me alone. Then he tried to take me out of town. I ghosted him and went into the back whenever he came in the store. Fuck cops. Story 3. I dated a joiner who literally made work his whole life. He had an actual 9-5 kind of job, but he worked for his dad, so he worked a lot of the time beyond this. He would then do work for people at weekends, and it pissed me off so much because I told him how I barely saw him, and it was making me miserable, and he took in work without even asking me. I wouldn't date someone ever again who makes work their whole life. Maybe it's selfish of me, but I work a 9-5 job now, and TBH, I would want someone who works those hours too, so I'm at least free when they are. Story 4. Anyone in the sex work industry, nothing against that, but I think it's easier for people to date within the industry than outside it. Bartenders, baristas, but I'd be open to employers, owners. I just don't want to feel like I'm dating a college freshman, LOL. Anyone in performing arts, including scriptwriters, musicians, daredevils, directors, etc. I would be fine with dating a celebrity as long as it was mostly private, but many celebrities are in public quite often. Also, most celebrities are artists themselves, and I am very weary about artists' personalities. I would be fine with dating someone with a demanding job like the military, Marines, doctors, nurses, etc. I think their work requires them to have an honest and reliable character, and that's much more important to me than anything else. Then again, I've never dated anyone in the military or that worked at a hospital before, so I could be completely wrong, lol. Story 5. Well, I once had a gorgeous girl I'd just met basically begging me to come over to her place. But then she told me she worked for Live Nation, and my brain wouldn't let it happen. Then it forced my mouth to say things that ensured it wouldn't happen. So, Live Nation staffer apparently. Story 6. I dated 2 philosophy PhD candidates when I was single. One was studying Adorno and was one of those guys who claims to be poly when he really means he has a history of cheating. And the other was focusing on semantics and was, not surprisingly, a total condescending buzzkill. Both of them had an utter lack of life experience outside of academia and common sense, which made me wonder what it was exactly that they felt qualified to comment on, philosophically speaking. Anyway, don't date philosophers. Story 7. Speaking from experience, it is extremely lonely and isolating to date someone who is a medical doctor or in training to become one. The first work ceremony we went to together, everyone applauded the partners and I was like, WTF. But now I understand. I'm not going anywhere, just saying it is very hard. This likely applies to anyone in medicine in the United States. Young doctors are treated like shit, worked 90-100 HRS a week, in massive debt, and have no social life. Make sure next time you see a doctor, you ask when the last time they slept was. Opt out if it's been over 24 HRS. Story 8. A lot of guys now are choosing not to date anyone in health industry such as nurses, and most people know why. Lumao would never date a nurse, and so many people that I know broke up with the girl they were dating once they found out the were nurses. True story. If you want true love, don't be a nurse. Seriously. Story 9. Anyone in construction. Long hours, working far from home for months at a time, or uprooting your family yearly to follow the latest project. Ended up marrying a consulting civil engineer who is a complete house hen. He point-blank refused to even work one town over as it takes time from his family. He needs to fly out once a month for one night to oversee a project on the other side of our country, and we all suffer that one night till daddy returns. Story 10. Influencer. Even the title just sounds pompous and arrogant. Very few will end up influencing people to do anything. Otherwise, they're just entertainers, and typically not that entertaining, much less make stable money, much less long-term. As a hobbyist, influence away however you want, but if that's your job, oof. Story 11. Abattoir workers and butchers, academics, all professions within the sexual element of the adult entertainment industry, aid workers, basketball players, big cat conservation and domestic cat rescue, boxers, cage fighters, chuggers, charity collectors of direct debits, clergy and faith leaders, fishmongers, footballers, gangmaster agency owners, human rights lawyers, immigration lawyers, politicians, religious ADR professionals, rugby players, STEM professionals, tennis players, and used car salesmen. Wouldn't date them because I'm either sexually turned off by their work or won't have any social involvement with them. Story 12. People in the medical field, like doctors and nurses and stuff like that. I dated a cardiothoracic physician's assistant, SP, and the stress and long overnight hours and working weekends meant when I was there I had to be on eggshells if she was trying to sleep, or she was grumpy because her sleep schedule was just fucked, and in general, her mental and physical wellness just wasn't there. It sucked. Story 13. Nurses. I worked in a hospital and the amount of cheating I'd see was crazy. I'd hear nurses cheating on their spouses with other nurses, doctors, even custodial people. Hospitals are basically high schools where people get paid a lot of money to gossip and have cliques. Police/firefighters/EMTs, lots of long working hours, and they see crazy things that result in many of them suffering from some form of trauma, and they can't get the help they need, or else it'll stunt them professionally, leading to many becoming alcoholics. I've dated a lot of women who had experience with public servants, and they're all sleeping with someone on the force. It's a male-dominated workforce, and if there's a single woman on the force, you can bet over half the guys on the shift are either trying to sleep with her or already have slept with her regardless of marriage status. Just lots of infidelity runs through the departments, and they all do a very good job of hiding it. Divorce lawyers. Enough said. I can't ever commit to someone who spends their professional career getting the most out of a client's spouse during divorce proceedings. They'll bleed me dry of all my assets as well, just like they did with all their other clients. To them, I'm just another person with assets worth seizing. Story 14. Teacher. They spend all day telling people what to do, controlling the classroom, hopefully, and not speaking to grown adults, peers, frequently. Some may be able to leave that at work. My experience has been they bring that home and cannot turn it off. I'm currently on Hinge. You can say I'm wrong, but the amount of teachers on Hinge tells me I'm not the only one. Story 15. Nurses and care work in general. Irregular shifts that you have to plan your relationship around. Work is emotionally taxing and often comes with traumatic baggage from what they see on the job. Apparently one of the jobs with the highest likelihood of your partner being unfaithful with a coworker. When you made care work into your vocation, that means you are very likely a highly agreeable person. That usually means you don't like conflict, and you don't want to hurt other people's feelings, which in an intimate relationship often translates into sweeping problems under the rug until they have become unsolvable. Also, people predisposed towards caring for others often have a hard time caring for themselves, making them a mess and difficult to live with. Also, in case that caring for others point did somehow get your hopes up, you are not other people, which is like the less cute equivalent of an introvert saying this when they allow you in their space. Just spare yourself the hassle. Story 16. People in fintech. All of the people like that I met when I lived in NYC in that line of work were really shallow assholes. Police. I'm positive that the majority of people in that line of work are power-tripping psychopaths. It's certainly one of the professions where if a person seeks out employment in that position, they should be barred from it. Porn stars and other sex workers. I'm friends with a few people like this, and they are great people for the most part, but I'm far too jealous. Story 17. Gonna get hate from the Americans, but I'd never date someone who's in the military. I would not want to be with someone who actively supports war. The only people war helps is the people in power. I'm cordial to them, but they're all potential killers in my eyes. Die Würde des Menschen ist unantastbar. Story 18. I don't know what the profession is called, because most of them make something up to sound professional, but anyone who is into mindfulness meditation or energy healing, these people are insufferable and seem to have an answer to everything. Oh, you are depressed? Make a grateful list and hold this crystal while I realign your chakras while living in the moment. Just, no. Story 19. I was getting written up a ticket for fishing without a license on a lake while visiting a friend, just sitting on the dock dropping a line while having a beer. My fishing license 150 miles away in my boat because in California you're required to display it on your boat. The cop was actually very, very, very pretty, and as she handed me the ticket, she also wrote her number on the back, pointed it out to me, and asked me to give her a call sometime. I noped right out of that, not getting anywhere near a cop. I've always wondered, though, she was really, really good-looking and fit. It might have become a Fargo situation where she went out and worked and became police chief, and I stayed home and painted pictures of ducks and cooked breakfast for her. It might have been fun for a short while, maybe if she tore up the expensive ticket, but she didn't. Story 20. I would never date a cop, a correctional officer, a soldier, an MMA fighter or bodybuilder, anyone with anything to do with crypto or a rig pig. The first four because they're professions that display significantly higher rates of domestic violence, but also I've never met an MMA fighter, fitness bro, crypto bro, or rig pig that wasn't an absolute douchebag. And the vast majority of cops I've come across are total wankers. I don't know many COs or soldiers, but the record ain't great for them. Story 21. I will never date someone who works in law enforcement again, police, corrections, etc. I have no doubt in my mind that there are good, level-headed people in those professions. There are exceptions to every rule. The rule being that a lot of them end up traumatized and deal with that in very unhealthy ways, abusing partners/kids, abusing alcohol, drugs, etc. I started dating my ex as he was going to school for criminal justice. He was already arguably not great towards me beforehand, but it got significantly worse as he got into the job. He refused to get help, or even admit there was a problem. He became more reactive, less empathetic, more depressed and angry towards the world, towards me. Story 22. Any form of dead-end job. If you're still flipping burgers at MKD's or similar at 30 plus, I'm going to suspect a lack of skills and/or ambition. I don't care if you make barely above minimum wage as a paramedic or firefighter, who should get paid more anyway, but regardless, those are important, though underpaid professions making a genuine impact on people's lives. Or feel free to chase that high-pressure cooker corporate life for the money. Money makes a big difference in quality of life. But if you're still floating shift work to shift work after a certain age, our values and goals and lifestyles are incompatible. I'd like to retire someday. I'd prefer not to have to fund my partner's entire retirement account unless they are out there being an awesome, if underpaid human doing some amazing good in the world. Story 23. Cops. Anyone working for an organized religion in any way, anyone with a high profile or heavy travel career. I'm not here for glory. I'm here for pancake sundae and jammies. Also, I personally wouldn't seek out people with classic presenting ADHD jobs, realtors, ER docs/nurses, investment bankers, salespeople. Not because they aren't awesome, but because I have enough of this type of ADHD for one relationship. One of us needs as much autism as it takes to know where the keys are. I'll be your manic pixie dream girl. You have to close all the cupboards and manage the craft supplies budget. Story 24. I am happily married now, but I had this rule back then, not to date any profession which requires staying away from home a lot, especially night shifts. Doctors, Navy and Army people. I am not that strong to stay away from my spouse so much every week or months at time. Army, Navy. I also didn't want to date any professional with life risk like policemen or military people. My husband is a local businessman, no traveling for business and no night duties or work away from home. I am a dentist, and I specifically avoided any medical professionals for the same reason. Story 25. I'm a teacher, and I'm glad I haven't seen it in the comments so far. For myself, I wouldn't date anyone in the science field. I have met way too many people working in different job positions, lab tech, doctors, nurses, whatever, and they are either way too obsessed with their field, and therefore it is literally all they talk about. Also, they tend to just hang out with people who work in the same field. And, well, everyone said the same thing. They are all cheaters, or if they haven't done it yet, they have work husbands, wives they crush on hardcore. Also, they like all the attention they get as well. Story 26. Anyone who does shift work. Hospital-based nurses, ER doctors, manufacturing, etc. I've done it before, and it's just so hard to make plans when our schedules are so different. The exception is firefighters and EMS because their shifts are whole days. That has worked fine for me in the past. Military. I am ex-military. I was married to someone who was still in after I got out. I have no desire to ever be forced into an intermittently long-distance relationship that I have relatively little say in the logistics of due to international politics ever again. Cops, because I don't trust them. Unemployed people, because I already have dependents. Story 27. I'm a male, and I am biased towards dating girls that are working regular office hours or have this as a long-term goal pursuing an education, for example. Two people who are working regular office hours, I feel this will enable the best outcome for a good work-life balance with family because we will have the exact same free time and we can both spend time with future children together. The alternative is less attractive where one is mainly working evening and night shifts. And because of this, we rarely spend free time together or with our children at the same time. Same with jobs requiring you to be away for extended periods too often. Because of this, I don't like to date someone that, for example, is working as a nurse, and she has decided this is what she wants to do and not change job. I also want to avoid celebrities. I don't like fame or attention. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, like it, be sure to write comments and share your stories.